Roger Williams University is hosting a crisis management seminar on May 3rd at their Providence campus. Crises, whether a natural disaster, cyber attack, or financial instability, can have severe repercussions if not handled properly. This is where crisis management plays a pivotal role. Join Roger Williams MBA students and expert speakers to learn how to prepare for the unexpected. The program is totally free and open to the public. You can register online at rwu.edu/events/crisis-management-symposium.
This is the Bartholomew Town Podcast.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful October day. Looking out the window here from the Loft in Providence. Beautiful blue skies. What more could you ask for in October, I guess, right? So that's one thing that is definitely bringing a smile to my face. Another thing is that today is release day for a new record that I just put out a few hours ago. It came out midnight, actually, and we're recording this right now, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And my new record, Beij, is available pretty much wherever you get the podcast. Spotify, Apple, also at Bandcamp. Just billbartholomew.bandcamp.com. So today's release day, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do in terms of like a podcast about this. You know what I mean? I didn't really know. I still don't really have a plan. We'll always, as always, we see what happens as we move along. That's kind of part of the magic, I guess, is the improvisational and unknown aspects of the podcast in general. But I just wanted to hop on for a couple of reasons. First of all, I want to thank all you guys, the listeners, because you guys have given me a really spectacular platform that is, I didn't expect it to materialize the way it has, and I think we're gonna keep growing. I have a sense that we're in a place that this relationship between you and I is, we're just going to keep fleshing it out, and it's going to get more interesting. That's my goal right there. And the podcast, along with WPRO and Rhode Island PBS and all the stuff in this world, has been such a wonderful place for me to be creative and provide opinion and analysis and dig into something that I really love, which is politics, especially Rhode Island politics and media. And it's been also over the last several years as we've been doing this, really since 2018 is when it started, it provided me with a really great opportunity to step away from being a full-time musician. And not that I was miserable, but I really needed a reset. Some of you guys know I was in a band called Silverteeth, and we were touring everywhere, and we had some success and so on and so forth. And but it's a grind, man, and I needed to kind of shift directions with what I was doing, and I wanted for years to deploy what we do here on the podcast. I just wasn't sure how, and by having this space and everything that's come with it, it's been a really great chance for me to kind of hit the reset button on my own music, which I see as critical to my own happiness and also to the output that I create artistically. I've been doing music. I've been in bands since I was in high school, and in various levels of activity and professionalism or whatever, have been engaged in this at times completely full time for a decade and a half. Right? And that's crazy. And it's always been about carving out my own niche in this space. I'm not going to be on The Voice. I'm not going to be, on pop commercial radio. The type of thing that I do, the space that I'm in is the indie space. And while there's ways to carve out a living in that, it's different. It's a different path, and it's the long game. And for me, music has always been, well, not always, but over the last couple of years anyway, it's been about the long game. And part of that game was taking a little bit of a step away. Now, for the last several years, I've still been performing out. I've been writing music. I've been recording demos. I've been playing drums in a lot of bands. I've been hosting shows here at the Loft. It's not like I was like, all right, I'm taking a step away from music and that's it. But with the pandemic and just with sort of this general reframing of what I wanted to do, I haven't been out on the road. I haven't really been even performing in New York, never mind in some of the other places that, I was somewhat frequent. And with the making of this record over the last I started in January, I finished recording in late May, and then all the lead up and stuff like that's gone on for most of this year. I realized I'm ready to get back out there. I miss Austin. I miss Nashville. I miss being in New York with more frequency and engagement. And I miss all the little places that we used to play. And I say little, not in the sense of diminishing it, but, Danbury, Connecticut. Some of you might be listening that are there. And you have no idea how much the world that we built in that little city means to me. And I miss you guys. And there's so many other examples of that. So with the release of Beige, it's kind of a way for me to just sort of say, hey, I'm ready to get back in at that level. And I'm not stepping away from podcasting at all. I'm not stepping away from a 5-day-a-week radio role, 6-day actually. I'm just going to be busier with music. And this record is just the beginning. I plan on doing a lot more music stuff on Instagram and TikTok and some of the other socials. And I've got a lot more music that I'm going to be recording, putting out a lot of singles, cover songs of things that I find interesting. And it's just been great to kind of step away from that and focus almost entirely on the podcast and on that world. But New Year's Eve last year, I was performing a show down in Newport. And it just kind of clicked. I was like, you know what? I feel I'm ready. I feel like I had that break that I needed after the band Silverteeth. Got the podcast off the ground. And I'm in a place where I can kind of go back into that zone. And that zone for me this time around with the making of Beige was by myself. I learned from the podcast here that although obviously there's guests and I have many, many people that are mentors and supportive and so on and so forth, that, I kind of like creating alone. Now you might say, well, that sounds kind of narcissistic, but I mean that in the sense of for better or worse. And I miss the camaraderie in the making of Beige. I miss the camaraderie of being in a band or having a producer working with me or whatever. But I love the challenge. I love the notion of getting into the studio and playing every instrument, singing every note, and having to make a judgment call as to whether or not what I put down was something I was satisfied with. That's what Beige was for me. It was a test. And my life, the first 5 months of 2022 was basically wake up and do podcasting stuff, journalism stuff. Afternoon, go do the Dan York show at WPRO. Evenings, work on this record. Weekends, work on this record. And though there were challenging moments, like when my computer crashed and I thought I lost the entire record, and I did lose some songs. In fact, there was one I had to start from scratch entirely that is on this record, a song called Lonely One. It was an enjoyable process. The making of this was enjoyable. I really loved every second of it. I love the challenge of locking the door and being by myself and making this music. Some of these songs are new, as in I wrote them this year. Some of them are a year or two old. Some of them are like 15 years old. And as I decided which 10 songs do I want to put down on this collection, that process was exciting. And it reinvigorated me. And like I said, I don't plan to take any steps back from any podcasting or anything like that. I feel like we're actually going to be ramping things up. And, after this election here in Rhode Island, we're going to be starting to do some more national and international stuff here. We got a presidential election coming up. Let's tap into that. Why not, right? There's some interesting world affairs happening. Let's talk to people in Brazil. Let's talk to people in Italy. Let's talk to people in Russia or Ukraine. Let's talk to people in West Asia. let's talk to experts on a national basis. Let's look at the White House. And are we going to be a part of the White House press corps the way that I was with Governor Raimondo or Governor McKee? Probably not. But let's start thinking outside of Rhode Island, in addition to keeping the Rhode Island focus happening just as much. So I'm hungry to do more. Making Beige was a reminder of that at the end of the day, the podcast, the radio work, it all falls under the umbrella of artist for me. It's an artistic ambition. And I think that's an important reminder to myself why I do this and why we engage in any of the creative projects that any of us engage in, whether it's cooking, whether it's surfing, drawing, it's all from that place, that need, that human want and desire to create something. This record was a reminder for me of what's important to me. And I have my guys that I play with live here in Providence. I've got my guys down in New York that I play with live and other parts of the country, and I miss them. I miss that collaboration. But there was something really special for really the first time ever for me in my entire musical career, journey, however you want to put it, of just being alone in the studio and trying to trust myself that if something sucked, I would recognize it. And believe me, a lot of things sucked. No doubt about it. And hey, you might listen to this and say, that's not for me. That's definitely not for everybody. Nor is the podcast, nor is anything. Some people like to sleep with a fan on. Some people like to sleep with the heat on. Some people like AC in the hot months. Some people are, maniacs are okay with sweating and keeping the windows closed. I don't know. But on this day where I have been spending the last week building out the loft, rebuilding the stage here, which was taken down pretty much right when COVID hit. We kind of changed directions here. And we've had some stuff here, but it's been, kind of pop-up-y. We rebuilt the stage. I'm so happy to see it. I'm so happy to live and work in this space, one of the few artist work-live spaces in this city. And it reminds me how much we need more of those types of spaces, in addition to the obvious broad stroke of housing that we need to engage with here and build out. But I just want to thank you guys, because you're a big part of anything that I do, whether it's music or reporting, opinionating, whatever the case may be. And on this record, I think I look at the song list and I'm like, you know what? Wow. They shuffle through such a wide array of experiences and feelings. The first song, Toucanet, which I wrote earlier this year on piano. I got this synthesizer that I'd wanted, and I brought it in to my room. I had to go to work at WPRO. I got home, opened up the box, took it out, found a cool piano sound I liked, and wrote this song. And that's the magic of songwriting, is that you never really know when it's going to come. The second song, A Serious Light, I wrote that on New Year's Eve during sound check for that show I was telling you about earlier. Wolves, I wrote earlier this year. Two Funerals is a song I wrote about a decade ago. I had a dear friend, someone I love very much, who took her own life. And the song is about the weird, mind-numbing and enlightening experience of traveling to her hometown to attend the funeral that her family had organized, kind of a Catholic type scenario. And the picture that they had selected of this person was was different than the person as I knew her would probably want her picture displayed. So but we went back to Brooklyn, a few of us, and we had our own event outside of the cafe where we all met, Potion Cafe, where we all met and went on this journey in the Brooklyn Underground and had an amazing open mic and meals and talking physics and politics and all of that. And she was someone I love very much. And hey, we had that second event ourselves at that cafe. And that's what Two Funerals is about. Lonely One is a song I wrote last year, and kind of self-explanatory, but there's a lyric in there. I'm an X so complex. And I'm not saying X-E-X. Take it for what you want it to mean. Shadows is a song that I wrote in Brooklyn that has been around for a little less than a decade now, about 7-8 years. And a lot of people will recognize that song if they've come to my shows. And I love the version that's on this record. Chained to the Stars is a song I wrote in 2005. I was addicted to, it sounds silly, but I was addicted to soda for a long time. Destroyed my teeth in some cases. Other internal problems came from that, and that song recognizes that situation. And again, it sounds minor league compared to some people, but it was major. Track 8, Motel Mornings. I wrote that song when I was on the road as a professional soccer referee and realized I didn't want to do it anymore. Track 9, Feathers. It's a crazy song I wrote a long time ago that people love to hear live. It always gets a big reaction. Pieces of Sky is just a portrait of romance I wrote, I think right at the start of the pandemic. So that's that record, Beige, And I'm going to perform tonight at the Loft, 669 Elmwood Avenue, right here in Providence. And I hope some of you will come out because I'd love to see you. And we're going to have a good time. Got some great acts as well. Ziggy Nardust, Gabriella Rossi coming in from New Haven, Dave Flamon coming up from Newport, Randy Robbins, the Doctor, a songwriting legend here in Providence. He's going to be on the bill as well. And I've got my guys up here in my Providence band backing me. And, that's it. I'm just happy to be making music again at a level of where I'm trying to drive the ship forward. You know what I'm saying? It's really that simple. It really is that simple. All right, everybody. So next week, it's debate time. We've got the Treasurer debate on Tuesday, 4 o'clock on WPRO. I'll be moderating that. Wednesday is Lieutenant Governor, also at 4 p.m. on WPRO. I'll be moderating that, and we'll obviously have a podcast for you as well after the fact. It's election season. I got a ton of content coming up in the home stretch. We're going to be doing a lot of podcasts. It's going to be guests from, it's actually going to be a lot. I'm not really going to do that many one-on-one interviews because I'm doing the debates. I'm kind of leaving it to that. So it's going to be more so analysis from different journalists and different perspectives, different political scientists, and myself. I'm going to do. I've been doing a lot more monologue analysis, and I've been getting some good feedback on it. So I'll probably do some of that. I was very hesitant to do that for years, but sometimes I feel like that helps me get you guys content faster because I can watch a debate, or I can see a poll, or I can have, we can react in real time to what's happening very quickly. So with that being said, I hope to see some of you tonight at the Loft. You can go listen to Beige on Spotify, not Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, or billbartholomew.bandcamp.com, wherever you get music, Amazon, it's all there. It's all there. I'm acting as my own label, which is very freeing and exciting, and I was able to leverage the relationships to get this thing distributed in the digital sphere pretty far and wide. And hey, there's going to be more coming Just like the podcast, I'm taking the podcast mentality to music. You know, you do it, you put it up, you get it out there, you put your heart and soul into it, and then you move on to the next one. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with music now. And thanks for being a part of this journey. Everybody have a great weekend. Like I said, debates start up next week. Treasurer Tuesday, Lieutenant Governor Wednesday. Tons of analysis coming your way as we get set for a general election on November 8th here in Rhode Island. And like I said, hey, we're still going to be Rhode Island's podcast, The Record. Don't get me wrong. But I'm ready to talk international. I'm ready to talk national. And I hope you'll join me as we do that as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk soon. With the increasing legalization of cannabis across the country, including most recently Rhode Island, the cannabis industry is growing at a rapidly accelerating pace. If you are already in the industry or wondering what is the best path to break into the cannabis field, well, the University of Rhode Island has a program to help educate you in the evolving space. Fully accredited by URI's College of Pharmacy, the online certificate program covers topics related to product development, chemical analysis and testing, and patient and customer therapeutics. The next application deadline for the spring 2023 session is November 29th, and courses start January 10th. Join them at 2 upcoming info sessions and learn more at uri.edu/online/cannabis or give them a call at 401-874-5280.
At HealthSource RI for Employers, we provide access to health insurance to more than 1,100 local businesses and nonprofits, and 96% of them renew through us every year. Maybe it's our choice of 19 different health plans, our 10 years of customizing solutions, or our one local team of dedicated experts helping employers find quality health insurance. See how our numbers stack up for you. Learn more at healthsourceri.com/employers.